Hey everybody, this is Steeler Talk here. I'm gonna actually start showing my face now that I finally have a camera. Um, I'm here to talk today about the Deshaun Watson situation. This hits pretty close with me, so I'm gonna try not to get too invested emotionally into the situation, but it really does hit hard with me. I was watching the interview with with the first woman to come out with her allegation. What was her name? Ashley Solis. If you haven't already watched that, I highly, I highly recommend watching it. That actually really got me feeling some type of way about the situation. The court of public opinion has clearly shifted to Busby's side here. I don't think Deshaun Watson really has much of a shot of bringing that aspect back to his side. Now, what he does have on his side is there has to be definitive, not just he said she said kind of stuff going on to actually finish a prosecution of him. What he doesn't have on his side is pretty much everything else. Um, I have been a fan of Deshaun Watson's for a very long time. I loved him in Clemson. I loved him in the Texans organization. It's a shame. I'm a Steelers fan, but I have absolutely loved him. He was probably one of my top 10 favorite players in the league. But certainly, if these allegations are true, I don't think the man deserves to play football again. I'm probably going to get some hate from that, but I don't see how anyone could really defend that. I mean, for God's sakes, who needs 40 massage therapists in a year? No, that means one of two things to me, at least. It means you are some kind of serial assaulter where you hit one therapist up and then she's not cool with it, or you just want to keep going, new targets all the time, which I really hope isn't the case. I'd be really sad if it is the case. Or it could be as meaningless as saying just, okay, he wanted to find the right one and he just hasn't found the right one, which I don't think that's the situation, unfortunately. I really hope that that first off he didn't do any of this. I really hope he didn't. But in my opinion, spoiler, I think he has at least done it once or twice. I mean, there's no way that, you know, 22 or whatever the number is at this point, 22 people are lying. And from the interview with the first one, Ashley Solis, I certainly do believe her. If you watch the video, like I said, I highly recommend it. I don't think there are a lot of human beings on the face of the earth that can fake that kind of emotion that I saw from her. I'd say most of Hollywood's actors and actresses couldn't fake that kind of emotion live. Right there. It was actually very heartbreaking to hear, and I, for one, didn't believe that she is in it for the money. I think this has really affected her in a very negative way in her daily life, and it breaks my heart. I'm gonna try and stay as in the facts and away from any of the um, emotional ammunition that I've been left with after watching that. Um, I'm sorry, I'll be looking at my phone quite a bit. That's where I have my notes for this. So here is the statement that she started with. She said, I come forward now that Deshaun Watson does not assault another woman. I am seeking justice not just on my behalf, but for all survivors. This is about having my voice heard. I truly do believe that from everything that I was told. But let's dig deeper into it. Um, her description of the encounter with Deshaun is that he allegedly touched her with his male appendage. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that on YouTube. During the massage session. This exactly mirrors the accusations made in the other lawsuits, which all accuse Watson of exposing himself, touching them with his you know what, or kissing them against their will while he was getting a massage. At least, oh Jesus, at least one woman has alleged Watson forced her to perform an oral service. All of the women have sued Watson are either licensed massage therapists or work in a spa or similar business. Clearly, Deshaun Watson's lawyer, Dusty, is outgunned at this point. Tony Busby has proven to be one of the best lawyers I've ever seen, which it's either that's the case or it's obvious that Deshaun Watson did do it, because there can't be this much against him, and everything that Deshaun Watson's party throws out there just gets thrown back right at him. He had 18 women go out and say, no, he was a good guy and all that, but one of them had made a statement earlier going completely against that, saying that she hopes for Deshaun Watson's benefit that they don't ask her about his character, because apparently, according to her, it was well known throughout the entire massage therapist community about these actions by Deshaun Watson, and that he had a tendency to do these kinds of things. That's absolutely terrible. It's terrible, and I think that isn't made up. Certainly, I mean, she was trying to backtrack with Dusty's party and Deshaun Watson's party, but that just came right back at them, really. Something I do want to mention, part of the interview and all that stuff, not interview, I don't mean to say that, but I can't come up with the other word for it, is when Tony Busby was asked about Pride upon earlier things that he had said, he had mentioned that the Texans may be plausible to have turned a blind eye, maybe, to ignored a few things that they shouldn't have ignored. Like, Deshaun Watson had asked to borrow some of the massage tables, or a massage table, I should say. He had asked to get recommendations for other massage therapists in the Houston area, even though they had several massage therapists on staff, on salary there, at the Texans facility. One time, 2 times, maybe 5 times, you can say, okay, that's okay. That's your quarterback. He's not doing anything wrong, really, just borrowing a massage table. But if he was borrowing that consistently and always needing it for something, you kind of go, there's no way a guy needs to get massaged that much and by that many people outside of the Texans organization that they had a staff of. And that is very disturbing to me, that the Texans did turn a blind eye to that. I mean, everybody's vision is 2020 after the fact, but I do think that they had a lot of chances to notice this. This really bothers me. I've just got to say. I hope whatever did happen comes to light. These last few weeks have been a terrible last few weeks for Deshaun Watson, and at this point, it is a genuine question as to whether or not Deshaun Watson will ever play football again, which you didn't think that was going to happen just a month and a half ago or something like that. So that's certainly something for the football world to question. Everybody likes to have the best player on the field at all times, but at this point, if he did these things, I don't want him on the field at all. I mean, even if he was my favorite team's quarterback, I wouldn't want him on the field. But let's get into the football side of this. So, it may actually turn out that, well, it's probable at this point that Deshaun Watson is going to end up on the commissioner's exempt list, whether it's this month or next. I don't think there's any way that he comes into the league year without being on the commissioner's exempt list. Pardon me. And it's kind of weird. The Texans wanted to get rid of him. The Texans did not want to trade him originally, but Deshaun did want to get traded. Now it's seeming as though they're going to be paying $10 million for a player that's not going to end up being on the field for them this year. All he has to do is show up to training camp, and then once he gets put on the commissioner's exempt list, he gets that $10 million that was guaranteed to him. And he won't even have to play. That's a very minor detail in all of this. Obviously, I want to report these things and talk about these things, but this is a much, much, much larger issue. And it breaks my heart, all of it. I've said that so many times already, but I will keep saying it. Truly breaks my heart. I would have never guessed Deshaun Watson to be one of those people. Never. Another thing I want to mention, so it was reported that Dusty, Deshaun's lawyer, actually said, we hope that Deshaun Watson has learned from this situation and that this has taught him something to never put himself in these kinds of situations again, which is a very odd thing to say, I think. That's certainly not what I would expect them to say about this, because they're still denying it, of course. But I don't know, that kind of even sounds like he's guilty in my mind. I mean, I'm sure he's trying to say, be put in this situation like going to a massage therapist and wanting it to be private. I mean, I'm sure that's what he's trying to say, but that's not what you say after a woman comes out talking about how she's gotten depression, social anxiety, how she doesn't even feel comfortable working her job over this. I don't understand. His side has handled it so poorly. I just don't understand. And to talk more about the incidents that Deshaun Watson has been brought into, it's been reported by almost all of the massage therapists that he has some very particular demands, which is odd. Well, odd, but it gets worse. It's said that he requires to bring his own towel from home rather than have them let him use one of his, or one of theirs, I should say. Something that you wouldn't think is a big deal until you hear the worst part about it. One moment. So, they say he uses a washcloth to cover up, which standard practice would be a towel, typically the size of either a showering towel or a bath mat. I don't know about you guys. I am the 4Fs. I'm 5 effing 5, foot 5. And I've got a washcloth here. Now, Deshaun Watson is a lot larger of a person than I am. But, yeah, this barely covers everything for me. And I can only imagine that it doesn't fully cover everything for him, especially when he's laying down, and especially if he becomes, uh, you know, um, um, that's ridiculous in and of itself. Some other demands that I had heard, he would sometimes text or DM was his primary use to contact these massage therapists. He would tell them, hey, why don't you wear something like this, and send a picture of skimpy outfit, a bathing suit, something like that, and say, it's hot in Houston, why don't you wear this for the massage there, or for the massage. Yeah, that makes me very uncomfortable. I don't know about you guys, that makes me very uncomfortable to demand somebody wear something like that for a massage. Absolutely ridiculous. Honestly, I'm just gonna wrap it up here because I don't know. I don't like talking about this kind of stuff. I'd rather be happy talking about a player's route running or a draft prospect, something like that. I don't like to be put on the spot talking about this kind of stuff, and I know I chose to make the video, but it's a rough one for me. Like I said, I'm emotionally invested in this, which I don't want to be, but that's where I am. Deshaun Watson has lost my respect. I don't want to watch Deshaun Watson because I don't think I'll ever be able to look at him the same way unless these are completely thrown out the window. If these allegations are completely thrown away. But I'd rather see them proven wrong, is what I mean to say. I can't. I can't even with that. I have no respect for any human being who actually does these things. I'm no judge, jury, or executioner, and neither any of you. But the court of public opinion, I feel, has shifted away from Deshaun Watson. There's going to be a lot of people saying otherwise. There's going to be a lot of people hating on even someone as small as me for even saying these kinds of things. But at some point, we can't just be sticking up for him because we like to watch football. We can't just be sticking up for him if we're a Texans fan, if we're a Clemson fan. We can't. I think something small that really broke my heart is when the first when the first woman spoke and said her father was a diehard Texans fan, and now for the last year he hasn't even been able to watch any of the Houston games because his face just turns red when he thinks of Deshaun Watson. And it's something very minor, but I mean that just breaks your heart, doesn't it? A father having to think that way about his daughter, and daughter knowing that this has affected her whole family, not just her. Breaks my heart, really. I really hope he didn't do it. I hope this woman's lying and I'm wrong, but I don't think she is. I really don't. And that's just a shame. The man may never play football again. He was a very talented player. But football has no room for these kinds of things. The NFL has no room for these kinds of things. Society has no room for these kinds of things. This man might be put in jail for these things. And if they are true, he should be put in jail for these things. This is no Michael Vick situation. Michael Vick paid his time, paid his dues. Michael Vick eventually pled guilty when it was clear that he was going to be found guilty. And eventually, I think that's what's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, but there's no return. There's no return to the NFL after that. Any team that signs him, if these are true, and he gets found guilty of this, any team that signs him, I lose respect for. Well, that'll be all. That's all we know right now. I didn't mean to make this quite this long, but I just figured I'd share my thoughts on this. I'm a very slow talker, and for that I apologize. But that's it for today. This has been Steeler Talk. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell if you want to hear any more from me. If you have the time to hear my slow moving thoughts and everything like that, by all means. Have a good one.